I get asked a lot, Luke, how do you develop mental models of thinking, and how do you develop process and operating systems whereby the data sets can be processed effectively into action? Because we stand on shoulders of giants, and to deny that the wisdom that we kind of interact with is ours is just a fallacy, right? So I'm not going to claim that I am a genius by any realm of the imagination, but what I'm taking is known principles that have been in methodologies that have been tested and proven to work, and implementing those frameworks into my life in a way that is sensical, that is based on logic and sense. And if I can teach that and pass that to you guys today, it's going to be super effective. So let's get started. So as you begin to study Plato or Aristotle's, and you begin to study the individuals that have shaped many of the philosophies of today's kind of stoicism or frameworks of democracy and how we govern society and what we consider to be benevolent or good. These individuals also were into different topics like science, mathematics. They were into astronomy. They were into food, diet. They were into leadership. They were into physical fitness. So they were well developed. But inside this framework, they developed one method that has become popularized in the world that if you can apply today. The reason I'm going to give you one of the mental models, because this mental model is a mental model that I know is going to break down any sort of barrier of this guy's not saying the truth, or any sort of barrier of, hey, potentially there's a fallacy in this guy's approach, because I'm not going to even use my mental model first. I'm going to use another mental model. I'm going to use a different method of thinking, okay? To achieve what? The end result. Right, so we start with the end result in mind, and we reverse engineer it from there. So remember, the topic is how to get to your first 10K a month, how to identify high level opportunities, and 3 is how to build a book of business. So what is this first method I'm talking about? What is this first method that I know that you guys are familiar with? It's the scientific method. Now, most people are like, the scientific method. But if I was to ask you today, what is science? Right, or what is the scientific method? Guide me through the process of the scientific method to achieve what? A report or a conclusion. Would you be able to take me through the scientific method, right, to get to any sort of approach or objective or desired conclusion? In this case, the conclusion is, how do I get to 10K a month? How do I build what? A book of business, and how do I identify high-level opportunities? That is the conclusion that we're trying to get to, right? That is the objective, that is the end goal. So we need to start at the beginning of the scientific method, and that is with the observation, right? You need to begin with observation. Let me mute the chat here because people are asking me to mute the chat. You guys can drop questions, turn off commenting, just because we're going to get into this flow. So in this first process of developing a methodology or a framework of thinking, and remember, a framework of thinking is your acceptance of a philosophy or a worldview whereby you input lens of reality that allow you to witness what is in front of you through that perception. So in this case, we are taking the scientific method approach, understanding, first of all, what is science that you need to know, and then end up in a situation whereby we can use this method to arrive to a conclusion. Now, I've developed mental models myself based off of the frameworks of Plato, Aristotle's, a scientific method, different individuals, different thinkers, different business entrepreneurs, different philosophers, different money moguls, and different financiers. You can develop your own model. Life is very modular. You can pick and choose what you want. So today we're going to talk about the scientific method because I know that you guys know this to be a method that even the system accepts. So any barrier of doubt can be dwindled. So first, everything starts with observation. Observing. To observe, to see, to watch, to contemplate. So the question is, before you take any action, let's say you're observing this video and I tell you, hey, dropshipping is the best business model. Most people, what they would do is they would go and start dropshipping. Now, what if that is the wrong approach to the acquisition of the information that I've given you? What if the approach should be to observe the data set, to observe the piece of information? Because remember, you need a preliminary framework that is useful for you to filter what is true and what is false in life. Because how do you know that what you believe to be true is true unless you back it up through some sort of methodology that is proven, tested, and time again to give you some sort of conclusion that is consistent? If people have been able to make money consistently over time, there is a methodology to make